Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with Alex Turbin. That's the unofficial name. Um, but before I get into what I'm going to do today, I wanted to show you some of my stuff, the sponsor of the show, which is my artwork. And you can get this stuff at patron.com, which is you look up Alexander Turbin /patron. And it's just $2 a month to get a full color, full size comic book. Um, so you could do that, or you could go to alexanderturbin.com, which has all of my artwork and has Mutandis and Random Access and some other stuff that I've done. Usually it's collections of Random Access stuff, which is kind of what I'm going through. Um, so what I'm doing today is I'm reviewing, giving my thoughts on my own comic book. Um, because if I'm gonna have a channel, why not promote my comics a little bit? Um, and I just wanted to give my thought process on this. So I'm going to be reviewing and going over the Forlorn. I have two published now, and I have working on a third. It's all done. I just have to do the cover and get it all done. Um, so I'm going to be looking at the original art, which is colored on the original art, which I would not do now, and I wish I hadn't done then because now I don't have the original black and whites, which is kind of a bummer. But I just kind of wanted to show you the how the comic looks compared to the original pages. And I wanted to give you my thoughts on the pros and cons and how the idea came to me. So basically, the idea of the Forlorn is a group of fantasy characters like knights and dwarves and magicians and elves and stuff who live in a different universe, an alternate universe, are juxtaposed with a group of superheroes. So the fantasy characters come to our world, and the superheroes go to the other world. And I haven't really gotten in depth into the characters in the other world, the superhero characters. I've kind of more gone into the characters of the fantasy world. So when I first started the Forlorn, that was my first thoughts. Um, I actually started the first page um, because I know a lot of comic book artists and writers and creators have different processes in how they create stuff. And mine was really, I, I was at a period in my art where I thought it was kind of uh, not stale, but I kind of wanted to just try something different. And I really wanted to give it a lot of detail. So that's why on this page, this first page that I did, I really put a lot of detail into the dwarves' eyes and into the background, and I really wanted a lot of detail. And I think I kind of accomplished that. But first, I did this page, and then months and months later, I decided that I needed an establishing shot. Um, Sometimes you don't need an establishing shot; you can just start in with the action. But I felt like I needed to know where we were and what we were doing, and it kind of also introduces the villain and what's going on in the world. So so the dwarf is captured by the villain, um, and I introduce all of the characters because they go and the his friends come and save him. And I really kind of like the colors and the textures and stuff of this. I'm not uh, too down on it. Usually, I think I'm a lot like other artists, and you get down on what you're doing unless it's something that's really spectacular and you know it's really good. Other than that, then I think most artists are like, is this good? Is it not good? Is this good? Is it not good? I don't know. Um, so I wanted lots of movement. I have the pointing of the hero's blade at the bad guy, and then Goroth, who um, breaks free of the evil wizard, and then there's like a thief because it's like a fighter, the dwarf, the thief. It's all classic Dungeons and Dragons characters, which I really wanted to kind of translate into the comic book scene. And also, I didn't really think there were a lot of good fantasy comics out at the time. And I just wanted to do a good fantasy comic. I kind of like the skeletons. Um, and a lot of my books, I don't know if people realize this, but two, three, maybe a few more pages will have an open area because I kind of like to have get my comics to be open. And so you're introduced by fighting Kazastine, which is the name of the main villain, and you have the elfin wizard, and he says that he can't defeat them, so instead he sends them to another universe just to get rid of them. And this is where I'm a little bit don't think that it's great. I'm really known for my power comics, and I think a lot of being a power comics artist is not um, being a bad artist, but it's doing something and either not realizing that it's not good or having a certain percentage of your artwork being not that great. Like I think this face is great. I think this is adequate at best. Um, I think this is a pretty nice panel, but this is horrible. That's way too big. If I'd um, before, if I had used a computer, I might have been able to shrink this down. This whole thing should be shrunk down to something more accessible. The cities fair, but they're way too big for. I mean, they look like giants. So, and like this whole scene, I'm really kind of not happy with. Um, but there's some stuff like that I like. I like the face on this. Um, But as far as the pacing goes, I think it's adequate. It moves the story along, which they're sent to this world, and the police station gets a call that there's some Dungeons and Dragons people wielding swords and causing a ruckus. So the cops come in and they bring down the dwarf, who's the only one who has the memory of who they are for some reason, as yet to be seen. So they capture him, they tackle him, and they bring him down, and they bring him all to the psychiatric ward, and the story moves along where the characters are talking to a therapist or psychiatrist, and they don't know who they are because they've lost their memory, and but she's trying to get to the bottom of who they are because obviously she doesn't believe Goroth is the only one who's telling her what's going on. But they also have certain instincts. Like here's the thief, and he has an instinct to be in the shadows and be lurking and go and thievery and stuff. And she gives them new names because she doesn't believe them, and she wants them to have some sort of a semblance of reality in their lives. I'm not sure if that's what a real therapist or analyst would do. So then we kind of um, see what's going on at the everyday life, and they're watching TV, and they come across a newsreel of a villain. So there's the villain, the Cairn, and he's kind of causing trouble and wants to take over the world or whatever, what villains do. And but they're interrupted by the human soldiers, and there's a big fight. And then at the end, um, there's a big meteorite or something that smashes near them, and then you're finally introduced to one of the superhero characters in the book, and that's how it ends. And this is a tribute to the Wolverine burn, and he's in the Hellfire Club. So that is the Forlorn, and like I said, there's 2 issues out. Here's 1 and 2. And so there you go. Let me know what you think. And subscribe and do all that other YouTube stuff. And I'll talk to you next week. Thanks a lot.